Hello there. I am so glad that y'all are here tonight. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and you are watching Paranormal Experienced with Kat Hobson, even though it says Fate. But we're going to fix that. I am just really excited to be here tonight, and I wanted to let people know because I've been going through a few little things, and I owe Tom McNicholas and a couple of other people things that they have won. I have been diagnosed with acute ADHD, adult onset, duh. And so I've been dropping balls left and right, but I've been to doctors, I've been tested, I started medication for that today. My house looks so much better, just going to say. And I am going to be getting out everything that I owe everyone this week. So, particularly Mr. Tom McNicholas, I love you. I'm so sorry that it's taken this long to get that to you, but my organizational skills are going to be right back up to speed, and it's coming right at you with a little extra goodie bag. So, that being said, I just love when I get a chance to talk to people that I know, that I've investigated with, that are friends. And when you're friends, it doesn't really matter how long it's been since you've seen each other, it just picks right back up. And that's what is happening tonight with my friend Blaine Rohan. He's a pretty good psychic, not gonna lie. He's a good paranormal investigator. He is good with an SB7, working with what he calls technicians. And I have found, as I have traveled literally across the pond and everywhere, that those technicians are there if you ask for them. So Blaine is who taught me about things like that. He's also the one that told me to chunk a ball. Y'all have heard that story. So we're going to write him a little bit about that. I'm just kidding. He's just wonderful. So without further ado, welcome my friend Blaine Rohan.
Well, hi guys, how
Hey,
are you? Hey, Chad, how are you?
I am so glad you're here.
I'm glad
So,
I'm here too. So I know we
you
haven't got
know,
to talk in a while. I know it's been a while. It's been too long.
it has been way too long. And,
I know.
you know, I do appreciate that the first time there were parts that I didn't appreciate as much that first time we investigated together, like, having to bind something when I'd never even done something like that. And you're like, oh, just bind it. And I'm like, need more. And you
Yeah.
provided more, and it was great.
Well, see, the
So,
reason I had you do it because I knew that you could, that you had it in you. I
yeah,
had to prove it to you that you could do it, and you did.
and I did. But the strangest thing, I don't know if I told you this or not. After I tossed it into the flowing water, um, as I'm pulling away from where I was, there was a man walking in the center of the median who had not been there, because you know how paranoid I was about that, right?
Yes.
And he was walking in the center of the median, coming back toward where I was. And I had to pull a U turn and come back to go home,
Oh,
and he
shoot.
was not there.
Hmm.
So, I that was very, and I mean, he was dressed so you would notice him. He had on a red, and it was summer, remember?
Yes, it was hot.
And he was dressed in a red and black checked flannel shirt with blue jeans and a hat. And it might have been one of those shirt jackets, but it
Yes.
was red and black plaid, walking up through there by himself at that time of night on Highway 78.
Hmm.
And there weren't any houses. So there's that. And that was my experience that you made me get a handle on. But I just knew that ball wasn't coming to my house.
No, no, and that ball wasn't coming back to those people's house, which it never did.
He brought it out to the car to me. He thought
Oh, what?
we left it there.
Yeah, I remember. I
Yeah.
remember you called us and said, Blank, what do I do with this thing? I said, are you near any water? And you go, well, I crossed a bridge here in a little bit that has water. I said, say a binding over it. Say I bind you to this ball and throw that crap in the water. And you threw it in the water. Now
Yeah.
I'm telling what you saw that night though with that man. That was the
Is
spirit that was in that ball.
That's what I thought. So he
And
didn't stay with it.
it was showing you he was No, no, listen to me. He was bound to that area. He could not move past that area anymore. So where you saw him was his limits.
Oh, really?
That's as far as he could go. Yeah.
Well, then he was probably
Yeah.
ill.
Oh, he was beyond pissed, but hey, that's a good thing because he got what he deserved because he didn't know how to treat people right, especially children.
Well, yeah. I mean, anytime there's a child in a home, you have to be adamant, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Very adamant with it because I've learned a long time ago. Spirits don't play fair, so why should we?
They
I'm
do
gonna
not
use
play
every
fair.
no. I'm gonna use every advantage to my advantage over their advantage every time because hey, because we can because
Yeah.
that we were gifted to do this. I'm like hell yeah, I'm gonna use everything at my resources that I have available to me.
Do you remember what you said to me when you popped out of that room the first time we met? And you said, "Oh, you're Cat."
I said your cat, and I said, oh, you have gifts like I do. And you looked at me, it's like, how does this guy know this?
I know that's exactly because nobody there. I mean, Kim, nobody knew,
Mm-mm.
right? And because it was my first time with anybody,
Yeah. And I can tell
and
you the reason I knew that you had gifts like I do, because we have a certain energy or an aura around us that that I can see. You probably picked it up now too, that you start to see it with other people and you're going to help them, that especially ones that are scared of their gifts.
well, there's a lot. I mean, I never have been because I always laugh and say my grandma was New Age before there was New Age, but
No
she
doubt.
was. And mine are inherited gifts. In fact, you'll love this. One of my friends lives down. Friends, one of my cousins she found me on Facebook, and she sent me a message, and she's like, hey, I'm your fourth cousin, and we have a lot. We're a lot alike. We do some of the same things, and I was like, really? Seems odd. So anyway, we do. She does what I do,
Right on.
and her daughters do too.
That's cool.
Yeah, it
See,
is.
now you have not only a blood kinship, you have a spiritual and
Mm-hmm.
energy kinship with them too. So you guys can play off of each other now
Yeah.
and just flow that energy. And it's just amazing how you can do that. Because like my granddaughter's got it strong. I mean, strong. I thought I was strong. My granddaughter's stronger than I am with this gift.
Yeah. How
But
old is
she's
she?
17.
Yeah.
But she's still sort of iffy about her gifts because she thinks she don't know everything. So I still work with her a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
I told her, I said, baby, look, we didn't choose to have these gifts. They were given to us. Embrace them. Love what you got. I mean,
Yeah.
once I embraced mine, I was good. And so
Well,
is she now.
yeah. I mean, I've always had a knowing kind of a thing and I just put it off to intuition because it never steered me wrong, and it
No,
still hasn't.
no, and it
And
never will.
but it's really interesting because when I started evaluating and looking back, I was like, oh, okay. And you're actually who kind of set me on that journey
Oh, right on.
because I just felt like I was intuitive. I had a certain level of knowing. I didn't know what all I could do. And I don't really talk about what all I can do very
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah,
But
because if you know, you know. If you
exactly.
need to know from either side, if you need to be handled, you know.
Oh, yeah. Big
And
time.
if you have gifts, then you recognize it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's weird sometimes, right? Because people I don't even know will just come up and say, I see you.
Every day. Every day it's the same with me.
Yeah.
And total strangers will come up, talk to us like we've been friends for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, how you doing? Good to know you. My name's Blaine. Oh, I'm John or so and so. I don't know why. I just felt like I need to come talk to you. I'm like, okay, we'll talk. What you need, man? Or
Yeah.
I just tell them, have a conversation with them, send them on their way, and they're happy. I'm happy.
Well, I like a good energy exchange.
Oh, I do too.
So it's so funny.
Now,
But
I will give you one of my funniest ones. We were doing the movie premiere of The Conjuring House,
okay.
and we had a little dinner after a little dinner party thing afterwards,
Hmm.
where we went and had hot wings and drank some drinks, and I'm sitting literally behind this lady, and I hear this man's voice goes, "Tell her Chloe, what was his name? Um, tell him Cloephus is here." And I'm like, "Who?" And I'm like, "Okay, ma'am, there's some guy named Cloephus." And her eyes got is like this big, and he goes, "How do you know that name?" I said, "Well, he's standing right next to me. He keeps telling me he wants to say hi to you." So I tell her hi. Then she goes, "Well, how do I know that it's him?" And I swear to God, this guy starts humming the Sanford and Son theme.
No.
Yes. And I'm like, "Did you guys watch Sanford and Son?" Her mouth dropped. She says, "We watched that every night before me and Cleophas went to bed." I'm like, "Holy crap, that's pretty cool."
That is so cool.
But yeah, that was one of my funniest ones. I never had nobody sing the, uh, Fred Sanford song to me before.
Well, it's really funny how they do pick
Yeah.
things that, I can't remember what the word was. One of them, it was a rude comment that they wanted me to make. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, this is not me,
Yeah.
but I'm getting this. And they were like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you're not mad? She's like, no, that's definitely for me.
That was for me.
And
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't say that.
I know. I've got to
And
the point like it's now, if it's good, bad, or indifferent, if
mhm,
that's the message they want to send, I said, "Look, this ain't come from me. I'm
yes.
passing a message." And this one said, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
And you watch their face like turn 5 shades of red, going, "Oh my God, that's Johnny," or "That's
Yeah.
Steve," or "That's somebody, that's my Aunt Matilda." I'm like, geez, what
Yeah.
do you I think you can't get no better validation than that, though.
No, you absolutely cannot. And the look on the face was what got me.
Yeah,
It was like, I'm so sorry. This is not me saying this,
I'm not doing this.
but
I'm
I
doing
have to say this. And it's
Yes,
almost like a compulsion.
yes.
If you don't say it, then you are in so much trouble because you're not going to get left alone.
Oh, that is the
So,
truth. Oh, she's not lying about that. They will bug you until you say every dirty cuss word they said, every rude comment they said, or every nice thing they said.
yeah.
That either way, they're going to bug you too, and they will not stop until you tell them what they said. So
Yeah.
I just got to the point now. It's like, okay, so and so said this. Really? Yeah. And he said this. What? Okay. Then they'll start looking around, going, "That no,
Am I being pranked?
am I being pranked? He making this stuff up." I'm like, where would I come up with this stuff from? you know?
Well, especially something so random and
Yeah.
potentially going to get my jaw jacked. You know,
Thank you.
it's just, yeah. Well, tell me, because I have never gotten into your origin story with you
Oh, that's easy. I'll tell you.
ever after all this time.
Oh,
But
okay.
how old were you when you first started having
Okay. This
things
is this
happen?
is my story. When I was 4 years old, we lived in Montgomery,
Hmm.
and we lived directly across the street from an old colored graveyard. It was all grown up and had open graves in it. But we go in there and pick wild strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and plums from there. Some of the best ones you could ever find that were free. So I go over there with my grandmother, who's 100% uh, Cherokee,
Hmm.
and we go pick. So we had garbage sacks or grocery sacks or whatever you want to call them, the
Right.
old brown paper bags filled.
Oh my gosh,
And
that was so much.
I know. Well, my grandmother would sit there and make preserves and
Hmm.
pies and cakes out of them. So, and that's what she sold to make a little extra money. So the material was pretty much free for her. But walking back across the street, my grandmother told me to stop where I was and she went across the street to our house. Well, as soon as I saw she made it safely across, I heard this lady crying. And I looked over my left shoulder, and this beautiful woman in a beautiful white dress was leaned over a grave, and she was bawling.
Oh no.
And me being the little southern boy that I am, I walked up to her. I said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And I'll never forget this, Cat. She looked up at me, tears still in her eyes. She smiled, says, "I'm okay now, baby." And she was gone.
Oh
And
my gosh.
that's how it started for me at 4 that I remember. It probably started before 4.
Hmm.
And then as I was coming back across the street, and of course, I made sure to look both ways while I didn't get killed.
Always a
And
plus.
before I got back across the road, my grandma was screaming, "I knew your little ass had the gift. I knew you had the gift." So that was my, I had my grandmother till I was about 7 years old, and she got remarried and moved. She married a military guy, and they moved. So I lost my whole support system.
Oh man.
So I dealt with this gift by myself. And when you have the gift as strong as we do,
Hmm.
you see everything. You see people the way they lived. You see people the way they died. They
Hmm.
don't care how they show yourself, and they don't care that you're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're going to show you what they want to show you. So I dealt with that my whole life. And when I got old enough, I told myself, I said, if I can ever help children that have these gifts, I am going to give
Yeah.
them 110% to make sure that they get what I didn't have. Like our friend Lee Brown, she had
Yes.
she had her grandmother and mother as her support system.
Yes.
So she had something behind her. I did this on my own. And I saw some pretty wild looking things. I've seen people that were shot to death. I've seen people that were stabbed. I've seen people that got hit by cars. I've seen any kind of death that you can think of. I saw them.
I do not see that because I choose not to.
I didn't have a choice
So
though. I
I
didn't know how to
did.
block it. I didn't know how to block it. Honestly, I thought everybody had gifts like I did, but I couldn't tell nobody. I couldn't say anything.
Hmm.
Now I'll give you another funny story. When I was a child, um, one of my aunt's husband died, and anybody in the South, if somebody dies, somebody from the church is coming to the house.
With all the food.
Well, yeah. Well, they always come to give you that spiritual counseling, and the food always shows up anyway. Well, her husband hated other men. He was that jealous. When they showed up the house just to give their condolences, I watched him lift a vase off of the mantle and fling this thing at the door. I mean, he Nolan Ryan this thing at the door, and it shattered. All I saw was ass and elbows. Those two were back gone, and they were out.
Yeah.
I couldn't say nothing to nobody, but I started laughing because it made me laugh. I thought it was hilarious.
Well,
And
sure it was.
I got in trouble for laughing. It's like, hey, if I almost said, if y'all saw what I saw, you'd laugh too, but I didn't say anything. I just
No.
said, well, I'm just a stupid little kid, so I thought it was funny. That's what I think I said.
Well, the thing is that people in my family didn't talk about them having gifts,
Oh,
right?
no. Oh, no, no.
And so when my mom died not too long ago, she had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And she had moved into a little residential home where she wouldn't have to live by herself, and she just loved it. And the Alzheimer's hadn't taken over yet. And so I just went and took her out to lunch. And we were having lunch, and we were talking about the show. And she's like, "What is the name of that first show?" And I told her. And she was like, "Don't you just hate it when they line up alongside the bed and they won't go away?" She said, "I just finally tell them, I am tired. You're going, and I'm little, and you're going to have to go talk to my mom." So my mom was doing this at 4 years old with people
Yeah.
lined up by her bed.
Yep. I had that
And
same experience.
so, but I had not known that she did that. I did not know that she also had that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really bizarre that I found, if I hadn't gone and taken her to lunch that day, I would have never known that she had abilities.
No.
I just always thought it was my grandma.
Yeah. It usually does. It usually skips a generation. Like me,
Mm-hmm.
my mom didn't get it. I did.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter didn't get it, but my granddaughter did.
Yeah.
And so it'll probably keep following that line.
Yeah.
But I love to have the gifts we do, and I don't know, I guess I like being a freak because it's fun.
It
Because
is fun.
I like seeing spirits. I like talking to spirits. Um, I have a blast having conversations with spirits.
Well, be honest, you have a blast talking to anybody, but
That
spirits
is
have to
true.
be just that much more fun.
Oh, it is. You're right. You're right. I have not afraid to talk to anybody. I never have been.
Nope.
Um, I've never been afraid of public speaking, and I don't know. I was just gifted with the gift of gab. I love to talk, and
Yeah.
I like to tell stories and share stories, and
Well, you have good ones to share.
yeah, I have some
So,
fun stuff that I've got to do while we're been in this field, man.
yeah.
But I've had some scary shit happen too. Um, well, it wasn't scary to me. It just sort of startled me.
Okay.
We it's right before that I joined Kim's team.
Hmm.
I was with a couple of other buddies of mine. We did a house up in Shelby County. Well, this lady had 75 porcelain clown dolls in one room. And I'll give you the story behind dolls and clowns real quick.
Yeah.
Dolls were originally made to house the souls of the dead.
Hmm.
And clowns have always been evil. If you go back to what they called the highwaymen, they would
Hmm.
rape, rob, and pillage people with their faces painted up all happy. And then you get John Wayne Gacy, another clown who's evil. So this lady had 75 of them sitting in one room, and they're just lined up against the wall. I opened the door, and one of these little bastards just lifted up off the ground, flew at me at the door. And my first reaction, because I played baseball, my
Yeah.
first reaction was to swing like I was swinging a baseball. And I remember hitting the thing, hit it back to the wall. I heard it go, "Ooh, shit." Yep.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it was funny. I thought
Yeah.
it didn't scare me. It sort of just pissed me off because it flew at me. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, that
really?
would be the normal reaction.
Yeah.
That's a natural reaction.
But yeah, I saved that room for the last because I wanted to have fun with them when I cleared that room.
You know, it always surprises me, like going to our friend Kevin Kane,
Yeah.
going into his home. He is a haunted collector and he has a
Yeah.
fantastic collection.
Yeah.
But it always throws me for a loop because there's so much energy there that
Yes.
I have a hard time focusing and ascertaining who's talking to me.
Yeah.
So I just he still I bet he still has that mirror that we had in that house of the
Oh, I
guy
know.
that bought the little Barbie Ouija board
Oh, God.
and made the mistake of saying if there's anything here that wants to talk to me. Not anyone. Rookie mistake.
Oh, good Lord. Yes, it is.
So
That's almost as dumb as somebody saying, "Well, let me give you my energy." Like, are you idiot? Are you stupid? Come on.
what I hate are the people that say you can use our energy, and I'm
Oh,
always very quick to say, no, you
I'm
cannot
out.
use my
No,
energy.
no, because energy is always around you. Why do I have to
Yes.
give up mine when there's energy already here for them to use? I don't have to give
Yeah.
them nothing. I can
No.
flow that energy to them, but it ain't mine. I'm giving them. I'm
Nope.
flowing energy to them, and once it leaves my body, it's done with me. You
Yeah.
know, like some of these people just use our energy. I laugh at them. I said, and I'll tell them we do an investigation or do an event. Do not offer up your own energy because they don't take little bits. They take
No.
everything, and then they go beyond everything. But some
Well,
people just
and
do it.
there's a lot of people that we both know who have had some really serious health issues following that experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you need that as your life force.
Yeah. And I don't understand why they volunteered up. It's like, look, dude, come on. Don't do that. It's like telling people don't whisper when you're doing an investigation
Yeah.
because it picks up very loudly on a recorder. And
Yeah.
if you went through 12 hours of investigation, video and audio, and you
Yeah.
hear that little whisper, you get excited. Then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, shoot, that was just John.
Yeah.
Like I told
Boy,
you.
that irks me.
Oh, me too. But you'll go back and listen to it like 5 or 6 different times.
Because you're excited. You think you've got
Yeah,
something.
you think you
And
got
then it's like, that's not saying, hey, I'm Sam. That's
no.
somebody talking about dinner later.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my gosh.
I got one night they whispered, "Are you going to eat your cornbread?" I'm like, what the hell? And I picked up on the voice. I'm like, why are you whispering? This is what I'm doing review. I'm sitting there
Right.
cussing them out away. And I
Yeah.
called them afterwards and look, if you ever whisper again during an investigation, you're never going with me again because I wasted 12 hours on listening to audio and video for
Mm-hmm.
come up with you saying you want cornbread. No, 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 no.
That's at least it was something innocuous, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Could have been something personal. But I've gotten personal things on my
Oh,
evidence review, and it's like, oh, I bet you didn't know I was going to hear that.
no.
So which is always fun.
I think one of the best ones I ever got, and I hope I don't make anybody mad, but I had a spirit ask his girlfriend, is her nipple still pierced? I'm like, I just looked at her and went, and she just like turned 5 shades of red and went, yeah.
Well, at least you knew that that was a bona fide thing,
Oh, yeah.
because
I
that's
think
not
it's
going to be on a
hilarious.
radio station.
No. And hell, I wouldn't ask if they had a nipple ring to begin with anyway, even if I knew them. It's like,
No.
I did. Like I said, I'll give them what they asked me to ask them. And that's what he asked. So I told her, and she said, yeah, I still got it.
Yeah.
I guess he must have given her the ring, the nipple
Yeah.
ring for herself. So, but yeah, I thought that was funny.
That is funny.
Now, I'll tell
Well,
you the funniest one I ever had, though. You know where Bryce's hospital is up in
I
Tuscaloosa.
do.
It used to be. Well, right next door to Bryce's, there was an old convalescent home. The state was going to turn back into senior living apartments, real nice apartments. And we had already investigated. We got permission to investigate Bryce's. We were there for 8 hours. And I said, hey, let's go to this convalescent home because it's still part of the buildings are still up.
Yes.
And there was a lot of wood sitting on this piece of concrete. And, I wanted to sit down for a minute. Hey, Irene.
Hi, Irene. She's in Japan.
Yeah, I've done her show too.
Yes, she's
But
special.
yeah, we're sitting there, and I'm about to sit down, and thank goodness I heard this, but I had my recorder on and I had my ghost box running. You hear this old man go, "It ain't gonna hold you, dumbass," and then you hear us sit down. The wood crashes. Then the old man's like, "I told you, dumbass."
Oh, my word.
Dude, I will give you that one. That was awesome. Thank you. I will take being called a dumbass for that because that was pretty good.
That was perfect.
I'm like, I couldn't have wrote that any better.
No, you couldn't. That's excellent. My grandpa died at Bryce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had an aunt
So,
that spent some time there. So,
yeah. Well, he should not have been there. He had Alzheimer's, and that's where his family decided to put him,
yeah.
which, I'm sure that those that have gone on are probably ruining that decision. But yeah, it was a tough place.
Yeah.
It was a very tough place. And it's that's one of the reasons that I didn't go there. Plus
Yeah.
the fact that all of the hoodlums that would get on top of the building and throw stuff off on you. When I heard that was happening, I wasn't going anyway.
Well,
But
luckily there was no hoodlums the night we were there.
that
If
was
there would have
lucky.
been, there might
Yeah.
have been some falling off the roof. People with lead
Ooh,
poisoning.
oops.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
No, I go
I
to places
just,
like that, and I'm always prepared. So,
yeah. Well, I just think that I might have gotten a little emotional overwhelm
sure.
if I went.
I can
So,
understand because I didn't. My aunt got out of there fine. I mean, they moved her into another facility
mhm.
after Bryce's, but it was still pretty rough there because we were hearing audible screams of people like they were being tortured.
Yeah.
We were hearing just wailing, crying, you hear footsteps just running. Nobody in there because there were only about 5 of us in this
Hmm.
whole thing, so everybody stayed together.
Yeah.
So that we all heard this stuff together, and God, we saw shadow figures just running back and forth across the hall. Um, we saw this. I called it a creeper because it
Hmm.
was on. It crawled up the wall, up on the roof, and down the top of the on the
Yeah.
ceiling, and then just stopped about 10 foot in front of us, just dropped down upside down and stared at us.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at it, going, "What the hell kind of ugly thing are you?" You know?
Yeah.
And
Well, and that's a valid response
yeah,
because they try to present just as hideous as they can,
yeah,
and then you're looking at it and it's like, oh, come on,
I know. I was like, okay,
really?
this is like a bad drawn cartoon.
Hmm.
That's what this thing looked like. It looked like a real bad drawn cartoon.
Was it
That
all angular and stuff?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was like it was weird looking. It was looking like something the little kid was mad was just start drawing in class because he's mad at the teacher. That's what this thing looked like to me. I
Hmm.
just remember it had like this big old head, little beady eyes, and like little slivers of lips, and it had these big buck teeth hanging out of his mouth. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, I think I said something to the smart ass to him, like, you ever heard of an orthodontist? You need to go see one or something. I didn't provoke it. I was just seeing if I could get a
No,
reaction.
that wouldn't provoke it at all. You are so full of malarkey. That's funny.
No, I thought it was
That
hilarious.
was.
But
I'm just
yeah,
messing with you because that was actually a great line.
well, it just came to me. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. And then still, after all the stuff we saw, no, I think my favorite in there besides the spirits was the mama possum and her babies
Oh,
just walking right up to us and laying down.
get out of town.
I'm like, I was waiting for this thing the mama to jump us or something. No, it just brought her babies and laid down at our feet. I was like, well, how you doing? Have a nice evening. No, we
Really?
walked the other way. I wasn't
Yeah.
going to mess with them, you know. Mom, I
That's
thought
just
mama,
so random and pretty cool.
I don't know what it is about animals and little kids around me, but they come to me for no reason. I have
Yeah.
people that I'll go to their house and have them like the meanest dog or cats ever.
Yeah.
And within 5 seconds, they're up there next to me, laying at my feet or jumping up on my lap.
That's what gets me is I have that with animals.
Yeah.
Not as much with cats, but always with dogs.
Yeah.
Most cats, but cats are kind of different anyway.
Thank you.
But it's so interesting because my grandma always said it's because they know what you are, that they recognize energy.
That's
And
cool,
I
though.
was just like, well, they know I love them.
Yeah.
So I have only met one dog I didn't like, and that was, I didn't even dislike him. It was just, he did not care for me, which is very rare.
Yeah. I've had a couple of those that did. The ones that didn't like me are the ones
Hmm.
that liked everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know if our energy scares them.
I think probably it does
But
because, like I said, it's just random ones.
yeah,
So it's not like it's happening a lot, but it is. It's weird when it happens because it's so freaking rare,
yeah,
right? It's just something that we were in Roslyn Glen, the town of Roslyn in Scotland, and we were just hiking, and this woman had a Robbie, and she's like, and I mean, I'm a dog whisperer. I
yeah.
never had problems with dogs. This dog is, I mean, it went for my face.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just standing there talking to his mom. And so then when we saw them down at the bottom of the glen, um, I was not, I didn't scream and run or anything. I'm just like, oh, okay, not going to work. So when we saw them at the bottom of the glen, he did the same thing. That never, ever happens, ever.
I'm wondering, Kat, if it was not something that was beside you that the dog didn't like.
Well, I don't know. It was my face he went for.
Yeah, because
So,
you're the closest thing to
yeah,
what he saw. I'm wondering if
that's a
he.
possibility.
I'm wondering if he didn't see an elemental. near you. Scotland's full of them.
Yeah. And we were in a glen, we were in a wood,
Yeah.
you know, with a creek running through it and stuff. So probably there were things there.
Yeah.
I would be there if I were an elemental.
Hell yeah, why not?
I was there and I wasn't an elemental. I mean,
And still enjoyed it. Yeah.
yeah. So, but there was something because, like I said, the fact that that even happened once is so bizarre.
Yeah.
But for it to happen twice with the same animal was just like, no, no.
Like I said, either it saw something beside you both places, or your energy scared the dog to death because he didn't know how to deal with your energy.
Could be.
I
And you
mean,
know it was going to be elevated there because
oh God,
of the
yes.
environment too.
God
So-
is it over there. Plus, you got what, thousands of years of energy being around that place.
Yes.
And they always say energy never dies, so it's always going to be there, and it'll be
It
there
is.
after we're long gone. And luckily, we left you left your imprint there too. So your energy will be there too, which is cool. I think that's
Yeah. Well, you know, it's really interesting to me all the things that you do. I mean, you're not just a psychic, you're not just a shaman, because I consider you a shaman.
I am. Yes.
You're just so diverse.
Yeah.
You know, with the Order of the Exorcists, that's an organization that we were both part of.
Yeah.
And it's not really something that I feel to be my strong suit because I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah. And
And
I guess I was chose to deal with them.
mhm,
And so if I get like a case that doesn't involve something that's bad or malevolent or, just wants to hurt people,
mhm,
I dig those investigations. But I don't know what it is. I love the ones I have to fight something. I love the
yeah,
battle. I like pitting my stuff against them because I don't use me. That's the beauty of it. I don't
mhm,
have to use me at all. I just call upon this person or this tribe or
mhm,
this spirit animal, and they show up. So I sit there and just get the front row seat, grab me
yeah.
some popcorn, and watch the butt kicking begin. It's amazing to me.
You know, I have a friend, and you probably have come across her at some point. Her name's Jean Lundgren, and she's a demon slayer.
Okay.
And she is an archangel. And it's so much fun and if you're listening to me saying this and you haven't seen a show with her, trust me, I will have her on soon to do video with, and y'all can watch her because she's so unassuming
Yeah.
until she's not.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe her. She's also a dog whisperer, and I had a dog that I needed help with. So I have a lot of respect for her.
Right on.
But, it's kind of like you. She is who takes care of them because she goes into that form, mindset, and it's just done. But it's so interesting when people are surprised that demons can be beaten.
Oh yeah. And I've watched them beg. I watched them plead. It's funny because I'll tell them, you are going to beg, you are going to plead, and you are going to do what we tell you to do. And then they'll dog cuss you, and it's funny. And all of a sudden, you'll see them lose that will, and then their head will go down because they know they've been beaten really bad, and they'll scream, they'll holler, they'll plead, make it stop, please make it stop. I've had that many times. Make it go away. I can't handle this no more. I've heard all of this from them. And I tell them before what happens, what's going to happen to them. And they don't believe me, but I know what my guides are telling me. And I know what's around me protection wise. And
Right.
I just think it's hilarious because I don't provoke any of them. I just tell them what's going to happen, plain fact, and it happens.
Yeah.
We had one. Um, I'll tell you what it was. It was the trigger object was a clown, a KKK outfit. The guy that owned it back in the 1800s, he was a rapist, a murderer, and a child molester. And he was attached to that KKK robe. When we did the clearing on that, he cussed, he spat, he threw things. um, he held children spirits, which would really piss him off when I let all his children spirits go because he didn't have control no more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he actually threatened Matt Brown, whose dad was in the hospital, and just said, he said, keep this up, I'm gonna go hurt Matt's dad. I said, be the last person you ever hurt.
Yep.
And I thought it was funny. He threatened me. He's like, I'm gonna go take care of your wife. I said, good luck getting in there. Protection I got around this house. You ain't getting nowhere near my house. Have fun. And I told him, I said, look, you are going to cry. You're going to beg and you're going to plead. And when we got done with him, when I binded him where he could not move anymore, he begged, he pleaded, he cried. And my buddy Stan still has that as one of his haunted objects.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Blaine, I can still hear that thing hollering. I said, I hope it hollers every day.
Yeah.
Because it got what it deserved. It was not a good person in life, and it wasn't a good person in death. And I had no problem dealing with this thing. I enjoyed it quite much, to be honest with you.
Well, how do you ascertain? I know that there's a lot that we come across.
Yeah.
And for the average person who is relatively a novice in investigations and maybe having trouble recognizing what it is that they're interacting with, because you know, there is some role playing that spirits and entities do.
Yes.
To either try to calm it or to fool you into thinking it's calm.
Yeah.
Or
the way I do it is I'm very good at picking up energy fields.
mm-hmm.
And I always pick up your true energy. And just say you're really bad, malevolent spirit, and you're trying to fake me saying you're a nice little girl or a sweet little boy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I see your true energy. I see your facade. And it's just, people think I'm crazy when I say this, but it's like, you ever watch the commercial with the people got the little signs with their faces on them, like for depression and stuff?
Yes.
That's what I see. But it's clear, but I see their true natural energy. And I pick up on it very easily. A lot of people, I wish everybody had this gift, but
I wish they did too.
Because it would help people so much, because you'd be able to tell when somebody's not good for you to be around you, or
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to be around them, or you pick up, hey, I need to be around this person because I like their energies matching mine, or it flows together. But the way I always like to say it is you meet people for a reason. Either they're a lesson or a blessing, one of the two.
That's true.
And you'll know within, especially with us,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to know within the first 3 to 5 seconds if I'm going to waste my energy trying to talk to you or be your friend. I will be cordial with you. I will treat you with dignity and respect.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going out and have a couple of beers after the investigation's over with, you know?
Right. I do know. Yeah.
Yeah, true. You do. And if they got a good energy,
Yeah.
we always seem to gravitate back toward each other. Like me and you haven't talked in a few years, but we can pick up our conversation right where we left off a few years ago, because that energy field between us two
mm-hmm.
has always been good.
It has.
It always been like a positive energy flow between the two of us. And we're both good people, and we're both kind people when we need to be. And we can be mean when we need to be, though. But that's just our nature. Yeah. And that's pretty much everybody. But
Yeah.
I try to give everybody, treat them like I want to be treated. And I do the same with spirits. I try to give them a chance because sometimes they don't know. All they've been told is, okay, you're going straight to hell if you're bad, or you're going straight to heaven. Well, we both know
Yes.
that there's an in between
There
that they
sure
go to
is.
before they go there. So they're worried. And I've had some of the most nasty, ill mannered, when they were people, were petrified
Hmm.
as a spirit because they
Yeah.
didn't know what they had and they didn't think they had any redeeming qualities to them. And then I explained to them, I said, look, okay, this is just like life. You're born, you take your first steps, you go to school, blah, 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 until you pass away. Well, you're learning something every day that you're in this body that you're in now.
Yes.
And the next level, you've got to go up different levels there too. Now, the cool thing about this is you're getting the lessons you needed to have that you didn't make on this earth.
Hmm.
So you're redeeming yourself by going through these different levels. And this is the coolest thing that spirits have ever told me. It says, you can go to any level or back to any level that you came from, except the body you came out of. I'm like, that's pretty cool. You
Well, I
might
think
go,
it's cool.
yeah. I think you might go back into another body, but you're getting another life lesson. And
Hmm.
I think we all have those life lessons because everybody has deja vu sometimes.
Well, I'm going to tell you that. Um, Hi, Randy. Oh, he's a newbie to our live chat. I'm glad you're
Hi,
here.
Randy.
So you come back anytime because we always have a good time.
Always.
But it's one of those interesting things because I know people, and I'm pretty sure, like my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, when she passed, she was ready. She lived way past her husband
Yeah.
and was not the healthiest.
Yeah.
And she had epilepsy, which at that point in time was not considered anything but bad, right?
Yeah.
And but I'm pretty sure that when she was done, she was done.
Yeah.
She was just, I'm out of here. This has been lonely and tough, and
Yep.
I'm out.
Yep.
And you know, I know that I know other people that d- don't cross because of the fear factor.
Yes.
They've been told all their lives that if you don't do certain things, and you are not going anywhere
Oh
positive.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's so drummed in the head,
Oh yeah.
right? And so they're like, I'm not moving. No,
Yeah.
this is my house.
This is
I'm
my
not
house. I'm not
leaving.
going nowhere.
Yeah.
Like it or not, like it, I'm saying this is my house. Yeah,
Yeah.
I say a lot, but what is funny though, when we can actually talk to those spirits and tell them, hey,
Hmm.
look, this is what's going to happen for you. I
And
always
it's
tell them,
okay.
It's okay. I said, and I've had so many when I had my spirit guide Jana walk across them
Hmm.
or take them where they needed to go. How many times I've watched that spirit turn around and look at me and goes, thank you, Blaine. I didn't know this was possible.
Yeah.
I heard that probably thousands of times, and I still get excited every time I hear it
Yeah.
because it's just amazing to me that we get to do cool stuff like that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do know.
Well, I mean, I because, and I don't tell people what I do.
Yeah, I don't either.
I just, and it's so random because I have had people come up to me and say, "Oh, I know what you are," and I'm like, "Do you now? What do you think I am?" you know, a nice woman,
Yeah,
cute, what, and they're like, "You're special,"
yeah,
and I'm like, "You obviously are mistaking me for somebody that's mice, but because there are times that you don't really want to be broadcasting
No.
what you do. I mean, an example, a friend of mine owns a jail in Ohio. Brilliant, brilliant location to investigate. And her brother wanted to make an energy grid. And he opened up the conversation with spirits saying, you can use any of our energy. Hey, Mary Strickland, I love you. And so I'm like, no, cannot do that.
Yeah.
And, you don't give away somebody else's energy.
No.
And and so he wanted, I was like, we can build energy.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, let's build an energy bridge. And I'm like, well, you really need to know what, should think about that.
A lot.
And so he was, and I wanted to help her manifest also. There's a particular ghost there that's a young woman who, you want to help her. And so we did, when our hands touched, it was just, in fact, Lori in chat was there, and he hit the ground. And my other friend who was there for her first investigation, she had come over to meet me. We were doing a public investigation, and she was like, well, and I'm like, it's okay. He just didn't know what he was, he thought it was just going to be like, no, kumbaya, and it is not kumbaya.
Yeah, no doubt.
It is very real and very powerful.
Yeah.
And very helpful, because she could have crossed if she wanted to.
Yeah.
With that. And it was just, it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
To know, like, he just wanted to do it, I think. That's what I felt like. And so, but she didn't go. She's still there. And I think there's a whole story behind that ghost.
Yeah.
But it's, I'm going to take that for those listening. If you're anywhere up north, I'm talking about the old Paulding Jail in Paulding, Ohio. It's like 19 miles out of the Indianapolis airport. It's easy to get to. And not Indian. Lori, is that Indianapolis? I need help with that. It's not Indianapolis. Fort Wayne.
Okay.
It's on the Ohio line. But I think it's Fort Wayne. But it's so interesting because that's the most haunted place consistently with resident spirits that I've ever been. And that includes Old South Pittsburgh, Sloss, anywhere.
I need to take you down to Pauley Jail in Union Springs, Alabama. That one.
I've never been there.
Oh my God. It is. We've got so much stuff in that place. I've got video of a man's legs swinging where he hung himself in there.
Crap.
It was pretty cool video. I was like, because and it's funny, they have an actual floor drop for hanging, but nobody was officially hung there. But there were 14 people that were hung there that were off the record. So
how did they keep them off the record?
Just didn't write them down. They wrote them off as drunks or derelicts or hobos or whatever. Nobody come to claim them, so they put them in potter's graves and it was done with them.
Wow.
Yep.
I bet that place has got some serious activity.
Oh, God, does it ever. Now, this is funny. It is literally right across the street. I mean, in the same parking lot as the Union Springs Sheriff's Office. They will not come across the street unless one of us is over there. I finally got one of the sheriff deputies to walk in the place with me, and he heard one of the cells shut upstairs, and I know what nobody there. All I saw was ass and elbows back across the street. And he said, I don't know how you crazy folks do this, but I ain't doing with this today. I deal with live criminals, not dead criminals. I
I
got
would, I would, where is that?
All right, Union Springs is just a little southeast of Montgomery. Um, there's
Like you're
not
going toward 231?
um
Am I going toward
sort,
Panama City?
sort of. It's a little bit above that. I'm trying to remember what it's off of Highway 80, which you
Okay.
go Highway 80 from Alabama line all the way to the Georgia line. Well, it goes right uh, through uh, the by the jail. And the reason I asked
Okay.
it was the jail you went to was it
Mhm.
made by a company called Pauley because they made a buttload of jails in the
No,
United
it's
States.
just in Paulding County,
Okay, yeah.
but it's it's just Randy has some interesting stuff up there.
Oh yeah.
But I'm glad you're in chat, Randy. We'll share that in just a minute. But I think that it's you're not off topic, but I think that yeah, I'd ride down and meet you there. How long would it take me to get there?
From your house, I got to
Hmm.
get it. I got to get with Stan and
Well, I
see.
mean, not today,
Oh,
but
I know. No,
how
no.
long would it take me to get there?
From Birmingham down there,
Hmm.
I'm guessing 2.5 hours, maybe.
And I could
If
just
that,
go on down to the beach when I left.
pretty much, yes.
Yeah,
Pretty much, you can just go right down to one of your condos down there.
yeah. I only have one.
Mm. Oh,
Still the
still,
other one.
you still got okay. You had two last time I talked to you.
Yeah.
I know I should have bought that other one from you.
But it is I love I cannot tell you the last time I did an actual paranormal investigation other than going and doing my own stuff.
Yeah,
You know. But I would go. That would be fun.
Paulie's always been good, and it's got some cool stories at Paulie that we verified that happened.
Mhm.
Um, I'll go ahead and tell you one good story. There was a black man named Aberdeen that was up on the third floor. Well, he was arrested uh, for having relations with a white woman, which he never did. The lady told her husband that to make him mad and jealous.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
this gets better. Well, of course, they have a posse to go out and look for poor Aberdeen, and they drag him to the jail, and they throw him in the jail. Well, a band of vigilantes came around, and they locked up the prison, the deputy that was guarding them, all the prisoners that night, and he had locked the door, and they went and got the local locksmith and had them make a key to get in. They drug poor Aberdeen down the third, second, first floor, drug him out of the building, took him about 4 miles down the road, and then they hung him, and then they all shot him. I think he had over 157 bullets in him when they were done with him. And his spirit haunts that place.
Well, I would think so.
And there is another gentleman there, was just the town drunk. And his wife called the cops on him, just where he goes to jail and sleep it off.
Oh no.
Well, we don't know if he lit a cigarette and caught himself on fire or somebody threw a match on it and caught him on fire. We don't know. I could never get it out of him if he did it or somebody else did it. But you can still walk in that cell this day and smell smoke. And this is one of the cool things. He will actually smoke a cigarette in there. Hold a lit cigarette, not just hold it up, not dragging on it. You can watch it drag. It's the coolest thing. And smoke blowout.
That is cool as all get out.
Oh, it is. I've watched people go, holy crap. I was like, isn't that phenomenal? And one night I was gonna, I got like a little small bottle of liquor as a trigger object.
Right.
I put it on the bed on top and I poured it into a shot glass. Nobody knew I put it up there. When we came upstairs to investigate that part of the floor, nobody been upstairs but me. Come up there and that glass of whiskey was empty. It was empty. Not on the floor, not on the bed. It was gone. Empty. So I think, oh boy.
Also cool.
Yeah. But yeah, Paulie's always been good. You get stuff out in the yard, you get stuff in the jail. Um, yeah, they had women in the jail. It was one of the first places in Alabama that actually housed women
Hmm.
before they started building prisons for them. So
Right.
the whole first floor is nothing but women. There's probably about 3 cells in there, and about I think it's like 6 beds in each room,
Hmm.
all against the wall. So we've got stuff in there a lot. Um, Heard the cells open and shut. Um, Now the front door to the place is like heavy. It's probably I'd say that thing weighs 300 pounds. And I've heard that thing open up in the middle of the night. It ain't wind pushing this thing open, let me tell you.
No.
But we actually had it shut with a wood block under it where it wouldn't move. And something kicked the wood block out and opened the door. I mean, it slammed the door against the wall. I
Get
was,
out.
oh,
Wow.
I was like, that's so cool. I was like, can you do that again? Because
Yeah.
this time I wanted to film it. I wish I had cameras running down there.
Yeah.
But I knew everybody was. We were all accounted for because all of us ended up staying downstairs in this room that used to be, I guess it was the sheriff's room,
Hmm.
where they could go in there and do their paperwork and sit by a fireplace and all that fun stuff. We
Right.
had like cots and stuff laid out on the floor. So I knew where everybody was. Nobody was up. So we all heard it. I'm like, then I went and looked. I went running because it's probably about maybe 30 feet from where we were laying.
Hmm.
And you can't see the door right away because it's just off to the right a little bit.
Okay.
But I ran up there and was like, holy crap, somebody opened this door. I was like, this is
With
badass.
intent.
With it, because I wasn't nobody in to try to get in. I can tell you that because
Yeah.
most people in town are scared to death of that jail. So even the cops. So I know
You
it was
know,
nobody out there.
that's interesting to me because the Paulding jail in Ohio, I mean, it's it's so active. It is so
Yeah.
active. And I don't think people are really that scared of it. It's that Paulding is near the town of Defiance. And so Defiance has programs for people with needs and stuff like that. And they come and, do, Shelley sponsors them when they do their events in Defiance and stuff like that, and lets them come to the jail and do stuff. It's really cool.
Right on.
And so that jail, I have never heard anything in that jail being disrespectful except when I made them mad. And I was trying to do a live show from the cell block. The only place to set a laptop was the the table in there, and over that table is where a man was found hung.
Yeah.
So they thought I was being disrespectful.
Mm,
And every cell door in that cell block was banging, not moving,
that's
but
still cool.
banging.
That's
They
still
were
cool.
stomping all over the place.
Yeah.
My producer could hear what they were saying. He said, I can hear them. I'll let you know when it's time to go. I was like, good enough.
Yeah, really.
And so I mean, it just kept, I'm hearing all this noise and nothing's moving, right?
Yeah.
And so a few minutes later, he said, pick up your laptop and get out of there now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? He's like, now. So I did. And yeah, Shelly has a portal, and she bought the plans and built it herself.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And I was like, we need that portal on.
Yes.
And you're going to have to start this conversation because I am mad. And because they were messing with my electronics too. So it was crazy. And so, we had a conversation. And I was like, I'm here to help her. And they were like, really? Actually said, really?
Really.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not here for my help. I've got a 9-hour drive tomorrow. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, geez.
Because you know me.
Too well.
So I was just like, And this is just so uncool.
Yeah.
And so we we all calmed down and we talked. And so it was diffused because I was as mad as they were.
Can imagine.
So it was just like, why are you messing with my stuff? I'm here to help. I'm trying to help raise awareness of you, blah, 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 blah. And so, and I had to take a shower there that night. I was sleeping there that night, right? And I'm like, you don't come in the bathroom.
Yep.
So it was so funny because it was fine. It calmed down when I was leaving. And I tell people this all the time. And if you listen all the time, you've heard this. But when I got in my car, because I have Sirius in all my cars, I love it. And I was listening to it, and it was a Kenny. I was on the Chesney channel, and he was singing along, and it jumped, and it switched over to that song "Goes to My House." And I'm like, you smart Alex. You smart Alex. And I mean, because Sirius don't skip, right?
Nope.
So I was just like, bye, guys. Thanks.
Yep.
But it was so funny because
Oh,
I mean, I had to sleep there that night. And even when they're not mad, there's shadows running all over my
oh yeah.
room. And yeah, I was
No,
just like, well, there you go.
every time we go to Polly, you hear like the cups against the cells, cling, 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 cling. They
Yeah.
like doing that. They like stomping because I think all of them had them Herman Munster prison boots
Yes.
on. And it's like you stomp, 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 24 hours a day. It doesn't matter. There's
That's
somebody
what these
always
guys were
walking.
doing. It
Yeah,
was so loud. It's
yeah.
very loud.
Outside the jail, it's quiet. There's like you hear nothing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you walk through that door, you'll hear or ding, 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 or so and so's loose, or,
So they're
or
actually pulling audibles.
oh, big time. I heard a woman in there one night, and out of the women's section over there, she was like, "Well, I guess they just gonna take my baby now." I'm
Oh
like,
my goodness.
really? Sorry, lady. Shouldn't have admitted a crime. You wouldn't lose your youngins.
Well, unless somebody else set her up.
Would not surprise me in a little small town like that.
Yes.
Now, this is funny about the Pauley jail. In like 1903 or 1904, a circus came to town, and the cage that they pulled the tiger in, the tiger died, and the town bought it from the circus for $1.
The
And it's still
body?
no the cage, the rolling cage.
Oh,
It is still behind the jail. And on Friday, Saturday nights, the deputies would hook it up to a horse trailer, to horses, and pull it out, and that would be the drunk wagon. And they go pick up all the drunks and put them in the tiger cage, and bring them back to jail.
you're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go there and get drunk one night.
Let's do
That's
it.
hilarious.
Oh, and I tell you what, we were playing. We set up cards in there
Hmm.
and set up cigarettes around, because prisoners like to smoke and play cards. Well, I purposely, every time I set up cards, it's always aces and eights, the dead man's hand.
Yeah.
That's just my little joke to the spirits. And I'll hear them go, that's dead man's hand. That's aces and eights. So they know what it is.
Yeah.
So that always gets a reaction. I just think it's funny because every time I always
That's
do
funny. That's freaking hilarious.
it. I know.
You're so irreverent. I love that about you.
Well, I come
So,
up off the cuff stuff. It's like, okay, ghosts don't want to hear, hey, do you know you're dead? What's your name? What's this? Ask them off the wall questions like, is there beer there?
yeah.
Is there music there? Can you dance there?
What kind of music?
What kind of music? Yeah, what's going on there?
Lori in chat, Lori Dorsey, she's my investigation partner, my travel partner, and my best friend. She's in Ohio. She goes to the potting jail all the time.
Right on.
And so she always She plays Elvis and she
Love it.
plays Johnny Cash.
Right on.
And when we were up at the Mansfield Reformatory, every time we go up there, that's what she plays.
That's pretty
And
cool, though.
we were in the, I can't remember, the warden's chambers up around where his family lived.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because she's sitting there playing it. First of all, it was shortly after my dad passed. We were in the hallway going towards that living section, and I smelled the cherry tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad smoked those cigars and used that in his pipe. He
Yep.
liked that tobacco. So I'm smelling that. So I'm getting pulled through, right? I'm following that scent.
Yeah.
And everybody else is, following too. And it's taking us to the warden's section. And so we get there and Lori starts playing her music. He's dancing on her.
That's hilarious.
Yes, I'm using my my night not my night vision, my thermal
SOS?
stuff.
Oh, your thermal. Okay.
And he's just dancing away on her. And
That's
Vicky is using her SLS.
Yeah.
And I mean, there he is. He's just getting down on her, right? And it
That's
was
funny.
so funny. And it's really cool. But she's a good investigator.
Yeah. And now Polly always played Jailhouse Rock by Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
Folsom County Blues.
Yeah.
For them. And I always play Elvis's Trouble and Evil. They love those 3-4 songs.
Yeah.
It's just they would get all excited about when you play Jailhouse Rock or play Trouble or Evil. I think it's just hilarious that they respond to that.
Lori said we were on the stairs, but we were on the stairs at the warden's part.
Oh,
And he just kept dancing.
nice.
So I just love stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just, the K2 was pegged. All of the K2s were pegged.
Well, that's
But
what
it was, I love when you can get them to play with you.
Well, see, that's what I love about Polly. There is no electricity in the whole building.
Yeah.
The police station is literally like a football field away, but the power lines are in the front of the building, not in the back. So you're not picking up any stray electricity. So whatever you get in there, you're getting for real.
That is so cool.
Oh, yeah. We get K2s on demand there. Any meter you want to bring in there, I'm like, hey, make it all red or make it go all the way to the right. Go right to the right or go all red. And they'll turn flashlights on and off. And it's just one of those amazing places.
I love it when they play with flashlights.
I know.
I mean, because that is such a clear visual. You can't mistake it for anything.
Yep.
There's nothing else that it could be. Well, we said Righteous Brothers too. Absolutely.
Yep.
And, of course, the Righteous Brothers gets me dancing, so that's all good.
Right on.
But, I just think nothing else is going to make that light come on.
Yeah.
Period. And to me, that's some of the most clear-cut evidence that you can have.
Oh, definitely, because you're not doing it.
Yeah.
And when they do it on command,
Mm-hmm.
and you could actually watch the light go from dim to bright, then back down to dim again, it's like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is real cool.
Were you with us that night at the Vestavia Hills Library when the show came out?
Yes.
Well, do you remember we did a little investigation there?
Mm-hmm.
And the lights were, the lights were crazy. And I don't think that the library was haunted, but I think it was the spirits that were, interested in Kim.
Yes.
And maybe all of us. But there was so much interaction that night.
It was very good.
It was. That was fun. Because that's not someplace that you would consider to be haunted.
No.
It's a new structure, relatively new structure.
But there's some history on that land, though. That's where we're getting all that good stuff.
Yes. Yes. because that whole area through there, because I grew up there. My sister used to swim on the park swim team right there across from the library. And,
Yeah.
I went to Berry when it was still a high school.
Oh God.
And so it was interesting to me that there was stuff happening.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't get that much interaction with flashlights in a haunted house,
God.
you know, on a haunted site. So that was fun. And I felt like they were there for Kim. So
Right on.
I thought that was cool.
I know. I don't know. I don't even know if Kim still investigates. I know she's real heavy into the alien communication now.
Is she?
Yeah, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind or something like
Yeah,
that.
CE5.
C5, yeah, she's a big member of that now. Last time I talked to her, but yeah, because I haven't had an investigation with them since the last time we did. I think it was one of the libraries up there in Birmingham, the one that used to be an old church. It used to be Church
Oh,
of Christ,
yeah.
but that's the last time I investigated with them.
Well, we should get together and investigate.
That's what
We
I'm saying.
don't live that far apart. We
I
can go
know,
do that.
I know. I'm like an hour and 15 minutes from Birmingham.
Hmm. And I am in Birmingham.
I will tell you a cool place that a lot of people don't know about. There's a Confederate cemetery over there in Shelby County,
Hmm.
off of 25 over there,
Yeah.
and it does have not only Civil War soldiers, it also has a family buried in that cemetery. And there's a little girl in that cemetery that's very, very kind and loves to play with toys. All the gadgets she loves.
That's
And
cool.
and the soldiers love it too because somebody's recognizing and remembering them.
Hmm.
And I've got a lot of activity at that graveyard, and it doesn't cost us a dime
We
to go
should
there.
meet there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And then get lunch after before we have to go home or
Yeah,
dinner.
dinner. Yeah, exactly.
That'd be fun. Let's
Yeah,
do that.
yeah. We'll have to do that after I get through some of these
Yeah.
medical issues I got. Then we'll definitely do that. Maybe we'll wait till it gets closer to fall where it's cooler.
Yes.
Because you go out there right now, you're going to get ate up with chiggers and red bugs and skeeters and any other
Yeah.
thing that likes to flesh eat.
And you can only use so much skin so soft.
You ain't lying.
So, because, I used to think my aunt was crazy when she would tell me that.
Tell you.
It works.
Well, you know what an old farmer told me is use Bounce dryer sheets.
Hmm.
It's just the scent, there's chemical in there.
Yeah.
Bugs don't like it.
Tuck them in your
Horse
socks.
flies, mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, they won't bother you. And I thought he was being full of shit. And I was like, I tried it. It's like, damn, this stuff actually works. Holy crap.
How did you use it?
Rubbed it on my arms and a little bit on my hands, on my face, and on my legs.
Really?
Yeah.
Good to know. I've always just used Avon, but I've got Bounce all the time.
Oh yeah, Avon works good too. The skin so soft is probably. I think it was better for treating against bugs than it was for actually what it's intended for, the lotion.
I think so too. I know it got used more for that.
Yeah.
So is put that in a little spray bottle and you're good for the day.
Yes, you are.
So
But-
where is some place that you haven't investigated that you would really like to go?
Oh, see, I've investigated so many places now. I'm trying to
I
think
know.
where I'd love to go because I've investigated all over the world like you have.
Yeah.
The Valley of the Kings in Egypt.
Yes.
I would love to go into Tut's tomb and all the other tombs and the Queen's tombs and just sit down and have conversations with them
Yes.
and let them know that they're still being remembered, they're still being cherished and loved, and that people 2,500 to 3,000 years or more
Yeah.
are still talking about you. That was their whole deal anyway.
Mhm.
So yeah, somewhere in the Valley of the Kings, it would be somewhere cool. I've done the pyramids. I've done the Great Pyramid, And I've done the Sphinx, but I have not got to go to the Valley of Kings because we didn't have enough time.
What was the Sphinx like?
It's weird. It looks like it's sand blown, but it's actually water blown because there was a lot of water there
Mm-hmm.
at one time. So it looks like erosion.
Yeah.
When we got there, they had talked about opening up a little part of the back where Dr. Hawass could go in there and see what was under there. I just picked up on the natural energies that were there, which was pretty cool because there was a lot of energy on that, from the builders of it to the people that came to visit it. So it just had energy everywhere on it, which I thought was just amazing.
That is.
I wish I could have stayed longer, but that's one of the places I've always wanted to investigate. But I've got to see some cool stuff. I've got to investigate in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've got to go all over the United States,
Mm-hmm.
all over Europe, all over Central and South America. So I've got to go some cool places. And thank goodness I was in the military, so I got to go to these places and I got paid to be there. So
That helps.
well, I'll tell you, it was funny. In 1985, I was stationed at Norton Air Force Base in California.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived on base in the dorms back then, before I got married to my first wife. And we're sitting there watching Helter Skelter on TV about the Manson murders. And I looked at my other buddy, I said, dude, we're only 60 miles away from where that house was.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, we're old school. We mapped it out from the base to Cielo Drive. This is what we had for equipment. We had a Polaroid camera. We had a cassette recorder, the old rectangle ones you push play and record.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite part. We had what I call a Lackland laser. It's a Lackland laser. It's a flashlight they give you in basic training or tech school. So when you're marching in the dark, people can see you. It's just a flashlight with like an orange or yellow cone on the top of it. So we call it a Lackland laser. That was our flashlight. And at the time we went up there, the house that Sharon Tate was killed in was no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
A guy named David, him and his dad.
David Oman. Yeah.
David Oman. David's a good buddy of mine too. David, him and his dad bought both properties, and they put a house in the middle. Well, at the time, I didn't know David, but David lived there now. I just didn't know him then. And I knew better if I stayed on the street. I'm on public property. As soon as I step across that curve, I'm on private property. I can get arrested for trespassing. We were there for maybe 10 minutes, and an LA County sheriff came up there and asked us what the hell we're doing.
Yeah. And
we didn't even have a name for it. I said, we're trying to find ghosts. He goes, really? I get off in 10 minutes. You mind if I come back? I'm like, come on back, man. If you're here with me, I don't go to jail.
Well, exactly.
And so while we were there, we took all kind of pictures of Polaroid. Didn't get nothing but a bunch of dust and dirt. On the recorder, though, I said, who is here? And I heard the name Jay. Mm. And I said, Jay, what did you do? He said, I cut hair. Jay Sebring was like Vidal Sassoon. He was one of those famous Hollywood hairstylists, good friends with Sharon Tate. And then the next one I got, this is weird, I started smelling coffee. And like nobody was there. I mean,
yeah.
Come to find out, it was Abigail Folger, who was heiress to the Folgers coffee fortune.
Oh my goodness!
And I asked her, I said, "What did your family do?" And I hear coffee. I'm like, "Okay, it can't be. You know that's her."
Yeah.
And the last one I got. This is the third EVP I ever called, and I hear Sharon Tate go, "They killed me. They killed my baby." That was.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That one, I'm like, okay. That I know that's validation because she begged for her baby's life.
Yeah.
And let me remember which one it was. One of the Manson girls said, I don't care, bitch, about you or your baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap. But to get those three was like unreal because we didn't know what EVPs were back then. We were just hoping we'd catch somebody talking. We'd hear them talk, you know?
Yeah.
But to get those three things, I feel bad because all the military moves I made, I ended up losing that cassette tape. And I never got to transfer it over to a digital format. So I always feel bad that I don't
Yeah.
have it. But I got the memory of the three EVPs I call.
Well, that is so cool. I wish that you had met David then,
I know.
because he would, he does, his house is haunted.
Oh, yeah.
And, he lets you go in and hang with him.
Yeah.
But, you know, because he's very attached
Oh boy, is he
to
ever.
that story.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he is.
And for those that don't know, David Oman owns the Oman House, which is on Cielo Drive, which is right up from where the Tate murders were.
Yeah.
And that house is, as Blaine said, long gone. But David is very cool.
Oh, David's
And
cool.
he's very, very nice and just a good human.
Yeah,
But
we probably interviewed him, probably had David on the show at least 5 times. Me and Lee have. And what I think is cool is my daughter and my granddaughter live in California. And Penny, my granddaughter Penny, was here, and we did a show with David. And he found out they lived in California. He says, well, anytime you and your mom want to come to the house, come on. And about a couple months after they left here, they went up there and had lunch with David and let them walk through the house. Penny was so damn happy she was in a damn haunted house. Oh my God. He bragged to all her friends, she was famous now.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, I know.
I just love that.
When I wrote my first book, she made all her friends go out and buy my book.
Yeah.
They went and when I filmed my TV show for Mission Unexplained for the Science Channel, she had all her friends get the Science Channel where they could watch her grandpa on TV, and all of them watched. They come regularly to our show every Monday night, and they watch our network every night. Now that I'm on your network, they'll probably come watch yours too. So,
well, they are welcome too. I would definitely welcome that. But it's just so much fun to share experiences.
yeah,
Because when I first started the show, I didn't know what to call it.
yeah,
So I just went with Paranormal Experienced because that's what people are interested in.
yeah, true.
And if you can have an experience, well, some spirit, wherever you were, decided that you were worthy of their energy.
Thank
And
you.
it's such a gift.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they could have picked anybody they wanted to in the world, but they picked us to communicate with. I consider that an honor and a
It is an
privilege.
honor.
Yeah, that
And,
we enjoy that.
I went for how long where basically if there was an EVP referencing me, it was a bad word.
Oh,
And I started getting such a complex about that. It was funny. Because no matter what, no matter how nice I was being, that's what came through.
well,
And I was just like,
I consider that a badge of honor every time I get cussed out.
yeah.
Now, back in the old days when we were still using the SB7s or the Shack Hacks, if you get a cuss word on there, you knew it was a spirit because
Yeah.
the FCC would fine them $750,000 every time an F-bomb dropped. And you tell me any corporation that wants to lose $750,000, no, it ain't going to happen.
No.
So if you get cussed out, especially with the old SB7s or the old boxes, man, those were like badges of honor because you had spirit.
Yes. Well, I always knew that. I always knew it was spirit, but it was so consistent.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't matter where we were, whether it was a residential or, like Sloss or wherever it was going to come through.
Every time.
Every time.
Yep.
And finally, I forget where I was. I don't know if you were there or not. You probably were. But I was like, I'm nice, damn it. What are you
I was
doing?
there. I was
You don't.
there. I was like, I think I said, why are you so mean to her? She's
Yeah,
been nothing but nice to you. Then I heard the famous F you. I'm like, thank you. Go. Perfect.
yeah. So yeah, and that was my first time to hear "fu."
Oh man.
So that was off the charts. And I just get so tickled because not always, but when they start trying to be saucy
Yeah.
and feel like they're going to be, yeah, well, we're going to be the aggressor. And it's like, no, I got angels. you know, I'm
Come
so
on.
protected.
Bring it on. Come
Yeah,
on. I double
somebody's
dog
going to
dare
take
you.
care of you.
Please,
And
please. I'll tell you what was funny. Um,
tell me,
we were up at Sloss one night and we're doing a box session over there. And I had this spirit, all he wanted to do was cuss and cuss and cuss at me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm about tired of your mouth.
yeah,
I said, I'm going to give you two chances. You're going to be nice because there was a couple of younger children, not
mhm,
young children, about 16, 17.
yeah,
And there were ladies there. I said, there are ladies present and there are young ladies present. Watch that language. Then F you again. I said, okay. I gave you your choice. You made your choice. I said, all right. And one of my spirit animals is a wolf.
hmm,
And all I said was, wolf now. You hear the wolf growl. You hear him go, wolf. And you didn't hear him cuss no more. I was dying laughing.
I would have been dying laughing too. That's great.
I was like, I told you, man.
Yeah,
But, word doesn't bother me. But when you got children there,
hmm,
I mean, I'm sure they've heard their mom and dad say it 1,000 times, but I'm not going to say it in front of
but
them.
that's different.
That's different.
Yes,
But yeah, some
yeah.
of it jokers, man.
My doctor told his kids what I do,
Yeah.
and so two of them were in college far away, and the other one still was at home. And they were like, "Can she take us ghost hunting?" And he was like, "Can you take them ghost hunting?" I said, "I sure can." So before this new director at Sloss, right, got there, and so we went down to the boiler room, and just were hanging out, and because you can always count on that, right?
Always.
Always. So we're sitting there, and there was stuff happening all around us, and they were getting a little tripped out by that. And I was like, we're okay. We're okay. And it was, they got through. We were, I just kind of called it and we were leaving. And we got upstairs, and his younger son got scratched outside. We had already left the structure. And I'm tripping it because he goes, oh, you know, and my doctor is such a doctor, right? So, his son looked and he had a scratch on his abdomen. And I was like, he got scratched. And my doctor's like, yes, that's abraded skin.
He
And I'm like, he got scratched.
got scratched. Battle
And I'm just
scar.
like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Nobody ever gets scratched with me.
Oh,
And
I do, but yeah, I'll get scratched, hit, punched, thrown
yeah,
downstairs, kicked. I'm used to it. I think it's funny. I
well,
call it battle scars.
yeah, well, that's what they are.
Yep.
And well, I went back downstairs and I heard people moving upstairs. 'Cause I wanted to make sure I didn't leave any equipment. And so I gone back down to the boiler room and was, just bebopping around in there, shining the light everywhere. And I heard something moving up around the impellers at the top of the stairs. And I'm like, it's a rainy, nasty day. I know there's not anybody else stupid enough to still be here.
Yeah.
So I took out my voice recorder and I turned it on. And I was like, who's that moving around up above me, up around those impellers? And I just shut up. And I sat there for a few minutes and I turned it off and I left. And so when I got home, I had 3 voices as an EVP, separate voices. And it was the coolest thing because Carl, can I say a cuss word? Okay. But it was so funny because it was three guys. And the first one says, bad customer. Very low voice. You probably heard him. Very southern, long
Yeah.
southern drawl, very deep voice because he was the last one. But the first one said, bad customer. And a little guy goes, Yavo! And then the other guy says, bad customer, eat shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I played that back, I was like, I have never gotten three voices like that.
Oh,
And they were razzing each other.
we've had it so bad up there because it was a male dominated workforce there.
Yes, it
So
was.
they talked like men do at a workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had them do cat calls.
Yeah.
I've had them say, "Ooh, nice ass," or before. And I heard him one time when my wife Jennifer was with me. It's like, "What's wrong, Blaine? Is your wife walking away from you, leaving you?" I'm like, "No, she went 2 steps away." Like,
I love that.
but I'll tell you, the coolest thing I ever saw at Sloss was in the wheel room.
Mm.
And we were using an old Frank something box, one of the original
Mm-hmm.
Frank boxes. And a lady next to me had this beautiful brand new digital camera. I watch her, she takes the batteries out of it, puts them in her right hand, still has the camera in her left. I watch her put her hand in her right pocket for the old batteries, switch hands, grab our left pocket, and get 2 new batteries for it. Before she even got the batteries in there, I watched this camera go from about that big to about that big in about 4 seconds. And it sounded like a shotgun going off. First thing I did is grab it, thinking, okay, there's going to be structural damage on this camera.
Yeah.
Nothing. Johnny Zaffis was there with us then. Uh, Patrick Burns was with us there. And Chris Fleming was there with us.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us was like, did that just freaking happen? I was like, yes, it did.
Yep.
And I actually had the camera until about 3 or 4 years ago. And it still took pictures, but everything's on your phone now, so you don't need them. So
Yeah.
I think I donated it up to the animal shelter here by the house. So
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I would never bet against loss.
ever.
That is such a perfect location.
I,
And, you know, and you never know who's going to be in the mood to play. So it's
that's
always
the truth.
diverse experiences. And if you're going to have a hometown haunt, that's a good one to have.
One of my favorite events that we had there was a couple of football players that played football. One of them, they were good buddies. They played, one played at Bama, one played at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were in there. I'm Billy Badass. Nothing's going to get me. And I was like, I ain't scared of this place. And then he got touched. I heard this woman's voice come out of his body,
Yes.
this high pitched scream. And his buddy's like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? And then it touched him. He screamed like a little girl. And Lee Brown was with me and her husband, and her son Elijah was about 9 at the time.
Yeah.
And Elijah's like, stand behind me, I'll protect you. And I'm like bawling. All I saw as it touched them two at the same time again, they screamed again, and I watched them run out the front gates into the car, sideways out the parking lot. I never saw them again. I was like,
hilarious.
that was the best thing you guys could ever done. Thank you. That made my whole night.
Yeah.
I don't care if I talked to nobody. Spirit was like, you made my night. But they still talked. They talked crap about them two boys the rest of the night we were there.
They probably just relished that. I mean, how much fun were they having to be able to make that happen?
Because they made fun of them all night the rest of the night. Said, where's Screaming Girls? Where's Screaming Girls? I'm like dying.
That is so good.
Where's the Screaming Girls? I said, Screaming Girls left like little Screaming Girls.
Yeah. They left like the little girls they were.
But yeah, I got so tickled that a 9-year-old's going to stand in front of and protect him. And Elijah could, though. Elijah had serious gifts.
Oh, yes.
But for him to just stand up like a big man in front of these two big old football players, I
Well,
could
I'm
not stop
sorry.
laughing.
Oh, that whole family is so gifted and they're
Oh, I know.
so nice and kind. I had
Yeah,
Leon recently. I think you saw her.
yeah,
And, I just absolutely love that whole family.
oh yeah,
But
yeah.
Elijah is he was an unexpected gift
Yes,
when
yes,
I
he
met
really was.
him.
Yeah,
So special. Their whole
yeah,
family is so nice.
yeah. I love their family, and the funny thing, me and Lee are actually related. That's what makes it
Hmm.
even better. So
Yeah.
they actually are my family, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, Elijah's cool. Mia's real cool.
Mia is so precious.
Yeah.
But she's the first person I met. Um, she has cold energy.
Yes, she does.
And I didn't know anyone else that had that. And I've only met one other person.
Yeah,
And why is that?
I think it's the frequency of her flows because like mine is considered real heat, a lot of hot.
Hmm.
Hers is cold. When we mixed ours together, it was like the perfect blend
Hmm.
of energy that wasn't hot. It was, it was like the porridge is just right. So we would throw energy balls at people together. It would
Hmm.
map those two, and it would just be a perfect energy ball that fired somebody. But her little girls have the gifts too, which I think is amazing. Her little
That
girls are
is so
great.
cool.
The
I tell you
Darwin,
what, they make beautiful women in that family.
oh, I'm telling you, all the way down from Mama, Grandma Jenny
Yeah.
down to Mama Judy.
Yeah.
Did
Just
you never?
precious people.
Yeah, I love them to death, and I, I'm so glad that I get to hang around and
Yeah.
that we're cool and like I know Lee and Gwen are on a special mission right now. They're doing
Hmm.
something. I can't say what they're doing because I would be doing the same thing in about 3 weeks.
Yeah. But it's just really special to have projects, to be able to do things that you love, be
Yeah.
doing things.
Well,
It's just
Lee,
cool.
yeah, Lee pretty much now has made paranormal her full time job. She
Hmm.
does as many events as she can do.
Yeah.
She does readings. She does the network for All Access Network.
Hmm.
Um, we just started getting advertisers, which is nice.
Yeah.
Um, we've got a whole bunch of people that want to come on the network, and then they're like, "Your numbers, they're great. Our numbers are just amazing me. How many people listen to us just goof off and talk about serial killers,
Hmm.
or paranormal stuff, or
Yeah. Serial killer conversations freak me out because I feel like that manifests that energy.
well, we do one
And
every Monday night called
I know.
Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murderers. But what we do though is we don't glorify the serial killer.
No.
We let you know what they did and why they did what they did,
Hmm.
but we also focus on their victims and
Yeah.
give them light. So what little
Yes.
bit of bad we bring with the energy of serial killers, I counteract it with the energy of the good positive energy of the people they hurt and giving them the freedom and way out of them to live through that nightmare over and over.
Yeah.
And it informs people about what to look for. Because now I won't do one more thing on serial killers. In your lifetime you're around 34 serial killers. That's
Yeah.
scary.
Well, it is scary. And, there but for the luck of the draw go you.
Thank you.
So, and that's, and I'm going to tell you, they are so good at camouflaging.
Oh, more on ever.
They are apex predators
Yes.
and they are so good. I mean, I knew one and never, ever, ever felt him as that.
Oh, you mass well then.
He was astounding.
Yeah.
And I had another friend who had killed someone, not intentionally, but still hid the body and didn't um, report it.
Yeah.
And so there was a big thing, big to do going on. And he was, because we were looking for him. And he was trying to live life normal and failing miserably. And it was just so bizarre.
I can
And
imagine.
so because I just knew that he was, but it was a friend.
Yeah.
That's why it was an accident. And so he was tripping, right? He had killed his friend. He was, they were trying to find out, you know, where he was and, where the friend was. And then when they found him, they were trying to figure out what the hell happened. And all of this, my friend is just tripping. But he's maintaining a facade, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But when that's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that it was just chaos, right? When you were around him, he was just so chaotic. And about a week later, he was arrested. And I was like, oh, okay, now I understand that. Because I'd never
Yeah.
seen that energy before.
Yeah.
Because I was young. I was like 19.
Yeah.
But it was I did learn what to look for. So,
Yeah.
it was educational. And Lori in chat, like I said, this is my best bud, but she said she didn't even know she was a killer in a past life. She was. We were at Bannockburn House in Scotland,
Nice.
and the the one of the spirits there, she was getting interaction, and the spirit was like, "You killed me," and
Okay.
Lori's like, "What?" And
Yeah.
so, and she kept trying to apologize, and the spirit was having none of it, and
Oh.
it was, I mean, from my side, it was funny,
Oh yeah.
right? Because this is the nicest person that you're ever going to run across.
Yeah.
And yet, it had to be during the Battle of Bannockburn, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. But it was just like, you killed me.
I've had spirits tell that to me before too, and I'm like, oh, which life did I kill you in? Because I've had several.
Yeah.
Or you killed me in a duel, or you took my woman, or it's always something that I did. I'm like, if I did do it, I'm sorry. Just
Yeah.
life is life.
What else? Well, she was trying to
Yeah.
apologize, and that spirit was having none of it. None of it. She was like, yeah, please accept. Yeah, that wasn't me now. I'm a different person now. Please forgive me. I was like,
They didn't
no,
care. They didn't
no,
care.
with the rods, no.
Nope. Nope.
And
Nope. Nope.
it was
Nope.
strong.
Oh
It
yeah.
was so strong.
Oh.
So, but I was just like, oh dear, we need to probably walk out that door.
Well,
you know,
you want to hear something cool as hell that happened
tell
to
me,
me at
tell me.
that old Shelby County cemetery, the Confederate cemetery.
Hmm.
I kept getting, and I had Matt and Lee with me, and I kept getting drawn to this one tombstone,
Okay.
and I could not go away from it. And I looked down, and Lee looks at me and goes, "That's you." And I'm looking at myself in the ground,
Hmm.
my spirit, and I had a conversation with one of my past lives.
Nice lives. How cool.
Now, this is the baddest part of all, though.
What?
We walked away, and I told him, "Okay, we'll come back." Nobody's in the cemetery but me, Matt, and Lee. Ain't nobody there. We walk away to talk to a couple of other soldiers. They're appearing to us. And some told me to go back to that grave again. I went back, and there was a bullet sitting on the tombstone that was not there, and it has a dent inside it where it hit bone. I've got that bullet.
Well, of course you have that bullet. You weren't going to
Yeah.
leave it there
Shoot, no, I just
because
thought it
that
was
was for you.
I'm like, wow. I've had them give me stuff before, like pennies or
Hmm.
feathers, but no one's ever gave me a bullet. I gave myself a bullet. How about that?
I think that's cool.
I thought it was cool too.
Yeah.
And before we have to go off, I'm gonna tell you one cool thing that happened when me, Lee, and Matt. We did an event up at Haygood Mill, up in Pickens, South Carolina.
Yeah.
This place was an old Cherokee trading post, and talk about just wonderful energy. It was phenomenal. The Cherokees were there, and there is an actual petroglyph that they built a building around that the Cherokees made 12,000 years ago. It is cool.
What is it of?
There's different pictures. There are pictures of animals. There are pictures of human-like figures. Um, there are pictures of what looks like houses, like square frame houses we live in. But quite a few of them. There's probably over 200 petroglyphs on that rock. And you can look it up at Haygood Mill,
I will.
HAGOOD Mill.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy we picked up there was so amazing. And I found me 4 like us people that came on the event and didn't know, nobody knew. One was a little girl that was 12.
Right.
And I looked at her and says, "How long you had to give, sweetie?" And her mama looks at me and goes, "How do you know that?" I said, "I could see her aura. I could see her energy." Oh, yeah, by the way, you have it too. Her face turned beet red. She didn't think anybody knew.
Right.
And I said, look, I know this is probably scary for you because you see stuff that you don't see. I said, look, embrace what gifts were given to you. It'll be so much easier. And me and Lee actually ended up giving her a book. So You Think My Kid's a Psychic? We gave her that book and autographed it for her. She was so happy. When I seen her later on that night, she says, Mr. Blaine, you told me that I have control. She said, these spirits kept trying to mess with me, and I told them no, and they went away. I said,
Oh,
baby,
my goodness.
she was like just tickled. Her mama was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my fun one. And I had 2 older women that didn't want nobody to know they had gifts. And when I told them they had gifts, they're like, and I told this woman, this is what was cool. I didn't know this woman. I had met her earlier that day at like a flea market thing we were at, and got her to come to the event. And we're sitting there, and I'm looking at her, and I said, "Do you really like pirates that much?" And she looked at me and goes, wait, what? She was related to Blackbeard. Oh, actually, she was related to Blackbeard's best friend, who
Okay.
was supposed to go with Blackbeard down in the Bahamas when the British were closing in on it.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to go to the brothel and get some rum and a woman. So he never left with Blackbeard. But when I told her Blackbeard, her face is like, I just found that out like a couple of weeks ago through Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
I'm like, isn't that cool?
That is the coolest.
And I think my favorite was actually after the event, we had stopped to eat at a Waffle House. And the young lady that served us, I could tell her energy was like way, way bad, real sad, real angry. And you know how I told you before, people just like to come up and talk to me and spill their guts to me?
Yep.
Well, she had me, Matt, and Lee there as well. So she felt extra ordinary. She was going to talk to us. And pretty much. And first thing I said, your dad's okay. And she welled up in tears. She says, my dad committed suicide 4 days ago. She says, how do you know that? I said, he's standing right here next to me. And Lee goes, yeah, he's standing right there.
Yeah.
And just to give her that closure, that she was just ecstatic when we left there. I don't think she even charged us for our meal, come to think of it.
Well, because, anytime that somebody suicides, the people left behind, they're pissed,
Oh, yeah.
as well as devastated in every other way.
Of course they are.
But they're also concerned for their souls,
Yes.
because we're taught that that's the ultimate sin that you can't be forgiven for,
Yeah.
because you're not there to ask for forgiveness. I do not believe that. I believe that if you're in enough pain and turmoil, that your only way out,
Well,
you're not getting judged on that.
well, there was a lot of mitigating surfaces to his departure.
Yeah.
Stuff that happened to him when he was a child that was not good. Um,
Yeah.
that he was addicted to drugs and could not get off of them, and he didn't want to turn into what his father was, which was a very bad person.
Right.
I'm not going to give him credit for what he was,
Right.
but he was just very bad, and it made his son think he was like his dad, and he just couldn't take it no more, so he ended himself. Which would I hated for the fact that the girl had to suffer,
Yeah.
her and her sister, because that was her dad.
Yeah.
But giving her the information, the closure she needed to know that her dad was okay, and her dad was just constantly apologizing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to do this. I had no choice. I'm so sorry, but I am here. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your daughters, and I'm glad of the young lady you've made yourself. So that was like, whoa, that was pretty freaking intense, cool. It was
Yeah.
sad and cool at the same time, but we got to leave that young woman with some peace in her heart and her mind.
And that's why we have the gifts we have.
Yep.
I mean, the other is fun, but that's situation is why we have these gifts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. My eyeballs, I got eyelash in my eye. I'm like, dang, get out my eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, we actually gave her the healing she needed and gave answers to some other people that they needed that night. I just had so much fun because it was so sacred for me to be on my Native American stomping ground,
Yes.
to actually get to stand barefooted on the petroglyphs that my ancestors carved.
Yeah.
And the energy that was in that place, Kat, oh my God, it was so, easy way to describe it, it was beyond euphoric.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Well,
And
that's such a gift to be able to be there.
the fact that we can go back anytime we want to. We're the exclusive
Yeah.
um, paranormal team or events for that place now.
Oh,
But we can
well,
get
good.
other people there. And our good friend Brandon, um, he's the one. He's a retired Marine, and that's his job. He takes care of the place.
Okay.
He keeps the
Well,
cabins up good and all that fun stuff.
I'm looking at the clock and we've got 2 minutes.
Dos
So
minutos.
tell people about your show so they can find you.
Okay, we're on this network called All Access Network. We're on Monday nights, but you can find them on my Facebook page, Letriana Brown's Facebook page.
Mhm.
Our show is called Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murderers.
Yeah.
We pick a different serial killer every week we talk about. Um, you can find me on Facebook under Blaine Rohan. I'm the only one. Um, you can go buy my book called Our Sacred Journey. It is
Yes.
on Amazon. It is matter of fact, if you can see it, that's my little. If I can get it to show you.
There you go. There you go.
But that was a fun to write. That's my origin story. And,
Yes.
you can find us, and we do all kind of shows like Cats Network does.
Yeah.
I think we just picked up a fitness guy and a cooking show, so we do
Oh,
film and other stuff too. So
that is cool.
yeah,
Well, I cannot tell you how much fun I've had talking with you.
me too.
I mean, it's so fun.
I
I've
know.
missed you.
I know. We need to get back together and do stuff again,
We do. Let's do
especially
it.
as close as we live to each other. Come on.
Yeah. Let's just do that.
Yeah, definitely do that. And,
So,
but yeah, you guys can see me and Kat both down at the Deep South
yes,
Sierra
Deep South.
Comic Con down in Ozark, Alabama, August 9th and 10th.
Yeah.
We're going to have Tony Moran, who was the original Michael Myers. Letriana Brown's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Kat's going to be there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other celebrities that are going to be there, pair celebrities, actors, all kind of cool stuff. But yeah, it's pretty fun. You guys come on down and visit with us.
Yes. And say hello. Don't just come and
Yeah,
walk by. Say
yeah,
hey.
definitely come say hi and
Yes.
go to some of our workshops we're doing. Um,
Yes.
we'd love to have you in there.
So, well, all right. For everyone in chat, thank you so much. If you're listening to this, you are the reason we do this show.
Okay.
And I appreciate every one of you. And we will see you next week. Same cat time, same cat channel. Be blessed. Good night.